Hello everyone. Welcome to the virtual class of standard costing. Today, I would like to start one of the most important and interesting area of learning. And it is related to fixed overhead variances. This particular area of discussion is different than that of the earlier areas that we have discussed during our sessions. So, before learning any practical of fixed overhead variances, it is necessary for all of you to know some basic information related to this topic. First of all, it is necessary for you to know that how many variances are incorporated in this category. So when it is given that calculate all possible fixed overheads of variances, it means that you can calculate 7 different variances in maximum subject to the informations given by the examiner. Let us understand all 7 variances one by one. First, fixed overhead cost variance. We can calculate fixed overhead cost variance using 3 different methods, and we will discuss all 3 methods in detail at the time of discussion of practical problem. Second, fixed overhead budget or expense variance. It is very simple. It is nothing more than comparison of the budgeted fixed overhead cost and actual fixed overhead cost incurred by a company. Fixed overhead volume or output variance. Fourth, fixed overhead calendar or days variance. When the information of number of working days are given by the examiner in the question, at that time we can calculate calendar or days variance. If information related to number of working days are not given, it is not possible to calculate calendar or days variance in any situation. So this particular variance is dependent on the information of number of working days given by the examiner. Fifth, fixed overhead capacity variance. Sixth, fixed overhead efficiency variance. Again, we can calculate fixed overhead efficiency variance using 2 different methods that we will discuss at the time of discussion of practical in detail. But in this lecture, I will cover how many options available to us for the calculation of efficiency variance. Seventh and last, it is idle time variance. When the examiner provide you information related to IT, that is unproductive time, at that time we can calculate IT variance, and it is always adverse because this is all about unproductive time, that is called a wastage of time, and cost of unproductive time or wastage of time is always adverse or negative for a business organization. So it is always adverse in nature. So we can calculate maximum 7 variances related to fixed overheads. I repeat for your reference: fixed overhead cost variance, fixed overhead budget or expense variance, fixed overhead volume or output variance, fixed overhead calendar or days variance, fixed overhead capacity variance, fixed overhead efficiency variance, and IT variance. Now, after discussion of all 7 variances, I would like to explain the basis of the calculation. At this point of discussion, I would like to put to your notice that calculation of all 7 variances are based on different rates or different recovery rates, because we can calculate everything on the basis of specified items given by the examiner. So let us clear basis of the calculation for fixed overheads variances. And this particular discussion is most important for you, because from this particular discussion you will come to know that which budgeted rate is applicable in calculation, because we will calculate different budgeted rates. Let us start. First, fixed overheads cost variance. For the purpose of calculation of fixed overheads cost variance, we have 3 options. Either we can calculate on the basis of output, or we can calculate on the basis of hours, or we can calculate on the basis of days. You can calculate fixed overhead cost variance using any of these bases or all 3 bases. At the time of discussion of practical, I will discuss fixed overhead cost variances using all 3 bases. Your answer remains same irrespective to the basis used by you in your calculation. Same as earlier variance, like variable overhead cost variances. We have completed our calculation of variable overhead cost variances based on hours and output. Same way, we can use all 3 bases as an alternative. Second, fixed overheads budget or expense variance. The basis of calculation is given information. It means without doing any kind of extra exercise, we can find out these variance simply with the information supplied by the examiner. Third, fixed overheads of volume variance. The title of the variance itself is clear, it's a volume, and volume is connected with the units of production or say output. So the basis of calculation is output. We need to calculate fixed overheads of volume variance based on the information of output, or you can say units of production. Fourth, fixed overheads calendar variance. Here from the title you can judge that it is related to calendar, and calendar is connected with the number of working days. So naturally, at the time of calculation of fixed overheads calendar variance, we need to consider information related to days. Fixed overheads capacity variance. This capacity variance is based on the information of hours, and for that we need to calculate standard hours or budgeted hours for actual days using cross multiplication. That we will discuss at the time of practicals. Sixth, fixed overheads efficiency variance. For the calculation of fixed overheads efficiency, we have 2 different bases. Either we can calculate on the basis of hours, or we can calculate on the basis of production or output. We can calculate our overheads efficiency variance using any of these 2 bases, but At the time of discussion of practical, I will discuss our overhead efficiency variances using both the bases simultaneously, so as you can come to know that answer remains same whether we are using base of hours or base of output. And last, IT variance. If information related to IT hours are given by the examiner in the question, it is subject to the condition of information, and it is always calculated on the basis of hours. So this particular information is the most important for you because we have different bases of calculation. Now, for the purpose of calculation, we need to calculate budgeted rate or recovery rate. Here, we can calculate our budgeted rate or recovery rate using three different methods. Just before a few moments, I have discussed a basis of calculation. So sometimes we have used base of output. Sometimes I have used base of hours, and sometimes we are using base of days. So naturally, we need to calculate budgeted rate per unit, budgeted fixed overheads divided by budgeted output. It may be possible to calculate budgeted rate based on hours. Formula: budgeted fixed overheads divided by budgeted hours. And third one, that is budgeted rate per day. Formula: budgeted fixed overheads divided by budgeted days. So we can calculate our budgeted rate, or you can say recovery rate, either using budgeted rate per unit, budgeted rate per hour, and budgeted rate per day. For the calculation of different variances related to fixed overheads, we need to calculate all these three items, and we need to use the base accordingly. Say for example, cost variance. We can use any of these three bases. Say for example, calendar variance. We are in need of the information of per day rate. Then fixed overhead quantity, or you can say volume variance. So naturally we are in need of budgeted rate per unit. So in this way, we are in need of all these three bases. So first of all, we need to calculate all these three bases in order to calculate all 7 variances. Then we need to calculate 2 more items. First, calculation of standard or budgeted hours for actual output. Similar calculations that we have completed at the time of variable overhead variances. It is nothing more than simple cross multiplication. When budgeted hours are given for budgeted output, using this theory we need to calculate budgeted hours for actual output. So simply we need to apply cross multiplication. Here, in addition to the hours, we have information of days. So we need to calculate standard or budgeted days for actual output. Similar to the above calculation, we will put formula, and it is very simple. When this output is possible in these budgeted working days, so for these many number of units produced by the company, how many days required? So again, it is one more cross multiplication. So before starting calculation of variances related to fixed overheads, we need to calculate 5 primary items. First, budgeted rate or recovery rate based on output, based on hours, based on days. Number 4, we need to calculate budgeted hours for actual output. available on your screen, we can simply calculate through cross multiplication and standard or budgeted days for actual output. It is also available on your screen. Simply with the help of cross multiplication, we can do it. Before starting application of any formula related to variances, it is necessary for us to go through these calculations. I hope everybody is clear with the theoretical aspect of fixed overheads variances. Thank you. Keep watching next all sessions. God bless you. Keep learning. Keep growing.